Listen, don't ever let anybody make you feel strange about your hobby. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of you. There's a lot of you actual weirdos out there. I don't know what you're into. I'm talking about. Let's say somebody says, "Oh, video games are for kids," or people that think you're childish because you play video games. Ooh, okay, where do I start with this? First, I wanna start by saying, first of all, video games, right? For adults, it is one of the only ways you can practice. Well, not the only way. It's a good way. It's a good, fun, engaging way to exercise problem-solving skills, critical thinking. But here's what I want to say. Okay. Here's my thing. You're entitled to your opinion. But for me, I would never want to knock somebody's hobby, especially if I have no experience with it, right? Now, let's say I play video games. Obviously, you're watching me play Tekken right now. Problem solving right now. Problem solving, active problem solving. So if you say, "Hey, that's childish, man," or that's for kids. Okay. So since you don't think it's a good way for me to spend my free time, you must have better ways to spend my free time, right? What do you do with yours? Most of these people would probably sit down on their couch, watch a sports game or something, or a TV show, and somehow that's adult, right? But look, it's not about what's adult and what's childish, right? I mean, to say it's childish doesn't make any sense. But if we're gonna go there, right? I'm not knocking you for sitting down and watching sports or whatever it is you watch. But if we're gonna sit down here and break down what I do, let's break down what you do. Right? I'm sitting down, spending my time. Depending on my mood, maybe I've done a lot of problem solving and critical thinking at my job that I just clocked out of. I might not want to play this type of game, right? This requires a lot of thinking and planning and problem solving. I might want to play, I don't know, GTA, right? Something more simple. It depends on the mood. That's why we have different games. So let's say we have 2 hours of free time. Let's just say that, right? I'm talking about free time. If your answer to that is, "Oh, well, I have kids and how dare you? What I do is for my kids. I'm making dinner and all this." I'm not talking to you. I'm talking about free time. You making dinner for your children, that's not free time. I'm talking about hobbies. Boom. Ouch. Speaking of problem solving. Damn. You know what kills me is back in the day I had friends, right, that my friends and I love watching wrestling, right? Some of my friends. We were watching Stone Cold, The Rock. Oh, The Rock was the most entertaining. Once he got his character down, right? Once he mastered that character, I wasn't really into. He was kind of funny at first. I wasn't really into his character at first, but he was entertaining. He was kind of like an Elvis type of character. Honk tonk man, Johnny Bravo. But when he started yapping, and when it sounds like he was just having fun, just roasting people. That was my favorite era. But anyway, I had friends back then that would walk in the room and they go, "You guys know this is fake, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, we know it's fake. We've seen UFC fights. It doesn't make it less entertaining. You watch movies, don't you? You know that's fake, right? All of a sudden, we're gonna act like the only thing entertaining and worth to watch are actual, factual, real things." What the reason I bring that up is it seems to me that people that have the strongest opinion about shit they don't know, they tend to not use critical thinking. right? So here's the thing. As human beings, we all have a default setting for survival. And, we have, based on the information in front of us, we have initial thoughts, right? The point of having intelligence, right? The point of why we have higher intelligence than fish, chicken, right? Is that we use our default setting, that initial thought, and what we can do is we run it through, this is where intelligence comes in, we run it through critical thinking, which means you're gonna run it through an extra layer filter of thinking, which involves new information that your survival instincts may not have been using, but you say, hey, I know that's what it looks like, but listen, this is what we know, right? And guess what? We're all guilty of speaking from that first initial thought, right? Sometimes when we get lazy, when we're tired, we don't run it through the extra filter of thought, which is critical thinking. However, right? I think that's what intelligence boils down to. It's how lazy are you with your critical thinking, right? Because a lot of times, if you hear knee-jerk opinions, if you think about it, you could be like, oh yeah, I would think that way too. Based on what things look like, I would think that way too. But again, you run it through an extra scan filter of critical thinking, and you go, oh wait, if I'm gonna tell them that game is childish, why did I say that? What makes it childish? Oh, because back in the day when I first learned about video games, kids were playing it. Oh, here's the next layer of information. Well, all those kids grew up playing those video games, and now they've created a way to make it another form of entertainment, right? I could also say this with, I'm a type of guy that reads comic books, graphic novels, not just Marvel superheroes or anything like that, not just superhero. Image Comics make a lot of independent stories, right? And guess what? What a lot of people don't know is a lot of these writers go on to write or simultaneously write TV shows that you, quote unquote, adults would enjoy during your downtime, right? But just because it has a label of oh, it has drawn pictures, it's for children, right? But it's another form of expressing a story. It's another form of storytelling. There are things a book can't do that graphic novels or comic books can't do, and vice versa. There are things that books can do what books do. It would just require a lot of fucking pages, right? Because books are so dense with words, and they have to paint the picture for you because they didn't paint the picture for you. Right? Does that make sense? But let's summarize the yap, right? Let's summarize the yap. Don't ever let anybody make you feel weird about the things you enjoy, unless they are truly weird. All right, I don't know what the fuck you're into, so I'm not. If you're into some really weird shit, I'm not talking about you, and I'm not defending your weird ass. All right, I like to categorize myself as weird because I normally don't do what normal people do, but I don't mean that in the weirdo way, in the creepy way. Okay, some of y'all are some fucking weirds. Some of y'all are some fucking creepies. But yeah, don't put too much stock in what people think. Do what the fuck you enjoy. Do what the fuck you enjoy. As long as it doesn't hurt anybody, I think that's the key, right? Do what makes you happy, as long as you're not impacting somebody else negatively. If you enjoy it, also, an important fact is if it's not hurting you as well. Because you can sit here and say, well, I smoke cigarettes when I get home, nobody's in the house, I'm not hurting anybody else. Well, you're hurting yourself. Okay, that's the most important person is yourself, right? I mean that in the way that, you know how in air flights they say you gotta take care of yourself before you can take care of other people. That's what I mean. To you, you should be the most important person, because without you, you can't take care of other people around you. You can't care for other people around you. But again, See that thought I just had? That's an initial knee-jerk thought. I didn't run it through a critical thinking filter. I could be wrong. If I put more thought into it, maybe I disagree with it. But right now, I feel like to you, to each individual, you should be the most important person in your life because you gotta take care of you. You can't take care of, your mom if you're not taking care of yourself. You can't take care of you can't take care of your children if you're not taking care of yourself. Unless it's like an ultimatum, like scenario where I don't even want to talk about, where you got to choose one over the other. Then otherwise, we all have our different preferences. I would probably sacrifice myself if it meant, somebody like my mother needs to survive or something like that. But anyway, I don't want to make this about dark scenarios. Bang. The next time I play Tekken, I'm really gonna dial down to the basics and fundamentals. I'm developing bad habits because I like playing stylish, but those are bad habits. I need to dial it in. I need to introduce those stylish things when we need to when we need to change it up. It feels so good though when they work. Whoa. Boom, boom, boom. I used to play, I used to play fantasy football, and I used to watch sports all the time, basketball, football. I started watching hockey for a little bit. I'm not knocking those, right? That's what I'm saying. I don't knock people for their hobbies. But if you're going to come in and knock mine, that means you must have a better way of spending downtime, right? And then come to find out, it's typically worse than what I'm doing, what we're doing. So before you knock somebody, right? What's the saying? Don't throw stones. And that doesn't even fit that phrase. Don't throw stones from a glass house, because we're not in a glass house. I mean, you're in a glass house, but your stones are not going to hurt us. It shouldn't. Like I said, I play games like this. I love Souls games, even going back to Zelda games. And what do they all have? Puzzles and problem solving. That's what keeps most of us engaged. Now, there's all kinds of different players, right? I'm not talking about you motherfuckers that don't get your shit done. I'm not talking about the people that sit for long hours but not achieve anything or accomplish anything that you need, right? When I say achieve or accomplish, I'm talking about whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish or achieve or need to achieve. If that takes a backseat to your gaming, then that's bad, right? But a lot of these people that say games are childish is because they grew up around games, and during that time they were a child, and the people that are playing them, they were a child. So they have an outdated view of what games are. And I think the word games too, but put it this way, I play chess. That's a game, right? Would you call a chess player childish? Probably not. Most like not. Why? Because our grandfathers played chess. You see what I'm saying? From the initial thinking, what did I say? The knee-jerk reaction, yes. I could see how you would say that. But if you run it to a second layer of thinking, it falls apart. It starts to fall apart. You can criticize me playing games if you want, but there's no damn way you're going to criticize me and you sit down for whatever it is, an hour and a half every day and watch Real Housewives of whatever. You know what I'm saying? Oh, but I'm an adult. Yeah. Okay. Just because you drink wine watching a bunch of adult women fight and argue, you're an adult? Okay. I was going to say somebody's name. Like a made up name, but I don't want to go surgical. But y'all get what I'm saying, right? Don't ever let these fucking real weirdos make you feel weird about what you enjoy. You know what gets me mad too? and this is a little bit off topic. Back in high school, right? I read books, and I remember reading a book about Pablo Escobar, the greatest. I guess the book titled him the greatest outlaw to ever live, right? And most of my friends around me were kind of calling me a nerd, and nobody cared about me. I was really fascinated about the story, so I'm telling people about the story of Pablo Escobar. Fidel Castro was in there too, and all that shit, right? A Colombian outlaw, right? They're doing Cuban neckties where you slit somebody's. We're on YouTube. Can't say that, but Cuban necktie, right? Anyway, I was telling all my friends about that, but they didn't care. Fast forward, as adults, right? We're in our 20s. We probably get to a point, we're probably mid-20s, and the show Narcos comes out, right? Netflix for adults, right? All of a sudden, they're telling me, yo, you haven't seen Narcos? Like, they're telling me, I don't know what Narcos was. And, you know, I think we were talking about, like, what we watched. And they're like, Narcos. I'm like, what's that? They're like, you don't know Narcos? Oh, my God, you don't know? No. I was like, what is that? Tell me about it. And they said, da-da-da, yada-yada, cops, Colombia, Pablo Escobar. I saw red. I blacked out and saw red, okay? I said, you mean to fucking tell me, right? You're talking to me like I don't know shit now, when I've been telling you about Pablo Escobar in high school. Oh, because I read it from a book that made me the weirdo, but you saw it because you were sitting down drinking your wine as an adult watching Netflix. Pablo Escobar, all of a sudden I have to care about this shit. You know what kills me too is the Marvel people. Oh fuck. Actually, I gotta tell you about the Marvel because it makes so much fucking sense. So don't get me wrong, Marvel in the 70s, 80s, maybe even 90s, yes, those more marketed towards children because that's who were buying it. Again, there's something happened in the 90s magically where those children grew up and became part of that business. They wanted to make their comic, and guess what? They made more stories that they wanted to make. Maybe they wanted to be book writers, but they preferred Marvel. Say they wrote adult, I don't even want to say adult anymore. They made really great stories, not just aimed at children, right? They made really interesting storylines. And then again, you know, those same friends in high school, like, this guy reads comic books. Okay. I was also reading some crime fiction that was good. But anyway, we're going to stick to Marvel, okay? Brian Michael Bendis was making some great stories. Who else? I mean, Frank Miller, since the 70s, were making great adult stories. Anyway, fast forward, right? Not even the Marvel movies, but I'm talking about like MCU Marvel, right? I'm not talking about the Fox X-Men movies. I'm not talking about the Sony Spider-Man movies. I'm talking about when they made Iron Man, Marvel Cinematic Universe, and then Disney bought the rights to Marvel movies. That era, right? Incredible Hulk was kind of a hybrid of those outdated type. Iron Man came out. They started creating the Avengers. That one. And now, these people, right? I'm using friends as a kind of like a metaphor, and I'm sure you, if you know what I'm talking about, you have these types of people around you. These people are enjoying it, right? And guess what? And guess fucking what? A lot of the movies, right? I don't think they're geared for children, but they are. They are more so than the books that I'm talking about, right? Like, these people would look down and say, I'm doing some childish things because I'm reading the comic book where they came from. But those comic books were not aimed towards children. Not as much. But the movies that they're enjoying now, they're more aimed at children than the books. But they can sit there and say, oh, this is an adult thing because it's not drawn pictures. Just because they have Robert Downey Jr. in it. Because they had a big budget. It's not made for kids. Oh, they cussed in it. Wow. Right. I could go on too. The character Deadpool? Oh my god, dude. Now, I can say a lot of his comic books were geared towards teenagers, I would say, early on. But they became really funny later on. And then they came out with remember where they put Ryan Reynolds in Wolverine X-Men Origins, and he was Wade Wilson, right, with the two double katanas. And I remember at the end, if you remember, they made him like they sewed his mouth shut. I was gonna say I'm gonna get smacked into this wall. They wired his mouth shut, and then you know, if you like Deadpool, you wouldn't be happy about that. But since people didn't know Deadpool, they were telling me to be quiet. Like, what's the big deal? You make a big deal out of nothing. So what? You know, the Deadpool, whoever this Deadpool character that you like, you know, at least they put him in the movie. So, you know, if imagine, right? Imagine, now you know who Deadpool is. Everyone likes Deadpool. Imagine 5 years from now, they came out with a new movie, right? And they do that other character with the mouth shut and the two blades looking like Baraka from Mortal Kombat. Now that you know Deadpool, you're going to say that's not Deadpool. You'd probably be angry. That's how I felt. Because I know who Deadpool was. How many fights did we fight? 7? Fei Fong Wong. His name reminds me of Wong Fei Hung. Her name reminds me of Wong Fei Hung. Iron Monkey. And the Jet Li movies too. You know what's funny? Rocket Raccoon from Guardians of the Galaxy. They I think they've always written him as like somebody with a, I don't know if it's British accent. I don't know what British. What is a Cockney accent? I don't know what that means. But every time I read, well, I didn't read the original Rocket Raccoon, right? Those were in the 70s. I'm talking about in 2000 when they brought back Guardians of the Galaxy in the comic books. It was actually written really well. I always read his character as a drunk, not drunk, but like just kind of buzzed, tipsy Jason Statham. It was perfect because there was a game that came out, Marvel vs. Capcom 3, right? They finally put Rocket Raccoon in there, and guess what he sounded like? Well, I don't want to say he sounded like Jason Statham, but pretty fucking close, right? But somehow, some way, when they came out with a movie, he was kind of like a voice made by, what's his name? Fuck, I forgot his name. You guys know who I'm talking about. I just forgot his name, the actor's name. Bradley something. Bradley Cooper. And guess what? Right? Sometimes, a lot of times, the source material, which is the book, is way better than movies, right? But I think this is the one case where I actually liked the Bradley Cooper voice better. I think the Jason Statham type, I would say, I don't know if they called it a Cockney accent. It kind of aged him. It made him seem like an old man, like a grumpy, tipsy old man. But I think this one suited him better. He's like wisecracking, type of character. Damn, we fought 8 fights already. I mean, look, I am fluent in Japanese. Okay, if you get me going, somebody asked in the topic, what was your question? I've been yapping this whole time. Somebody asked in the chat, what is What are we doing here? You sleeping, bro? How do you feel about gaming as an adult? Is that what he said? I don't remember. He also mentioned his friends kind of shaming him for it. I mean, look, the only time you shame somebody, I mean, you shouldn't shame anybody, but the only time it would be warranted if they did that is, like I said, if you're not taking care of your adult responsibilities, right? If shit's falling apart around your life and a lot of it boils down to you not spending enough time, and you ask yourself, well, where's that time going? And it goes to, you know, whatever it is your hobby, then you might want to lay off the hobby for a little bit until you get your life organized. And listen, I don't have all my shit together. That's not what I'm saying. But you have, like, every day you got to figure out how to do things better, right? If you don't like the results, I did that during COVID. I was like, well, when this whole shutdown shit is done, I gotta go back to my job, which I didn't want to go back to. What do I do about it? I can just sit here and, you know, just hang out and enjoy life. But I gotta go back to reality, or I can use this downtime to build a new reality when it's time to go back. And I did that. I created a new career, made a career pivot. I took everything I enjoyed from my job before COVID, but I realized what I didn't enjoy from it, what made me not want to go back, and I found a different career that had all the things I enjoyed, but did not have the things I hated. Again, I don't have everything right, but sometimes, you know, you gotta really look at the consequences and go, that's not the consequence I want to face. So what can I do about it? Or actually ask yourself, can I do something about it? You may not be able to. Depends on what it is. And then you move on to the next one, because I know a lot of people, I'm sure I'm guilty of it. You stress about things that you have no control over. Should you give that a thought? Yes. But, you know, you shouldn't let it take your energy, your time, when you should be problem solving something else. Should we keep going?